So, this is our last section on geometry stuff, so we're almost done, y'all. We're doing Pythagorean Theorem today. Have y'all heard of that before?
Yep.
What is Pythagorean Theorem? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Is that familiar? I hope so. So, we labeled the sides of a triangle A, B, and C, right? So, what is this side called? Do you remember the name for it? The long side? Starts with H.
Oh, I know what it is, but
What? Hypotenuse. 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 What are the other two sides of your triangle called? The legs. So where do we put A, B, and C? A is the leg, B is the leg, C is your hypotenuse. Is that okay? That's all stuff we've talked about before, right? So today should be pretty easy review, I hope. So you're going to use this when they give you a leg and a leg. So they could give you like A and B. Those are the easy ones. Those are ones that are not hard to do at all. Or they might give you a leg and a hypotenuse. So they may give you like A and C, or they might give you B and C. That would be the other leg. So that's again giving you a leg and a hypotenuse. So the thing to remember with Pythagorean Theorem is that it only works with right triangles. So that shouldn't be an issue for us. But we're going to test that on the bottom to see if some of those really are right triangles or not. Because if it is a right triangle, then your theorem will hold. So we'll get to that in a minute. We are ready to try some?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So looking at the first one. We want to know the length of the hypotenuse if the legs measure 3 and 4. So y'all, anytime we're talking about shapes, what have we done this year? Drawn it. So I think it's helpful to draw it just to be sure that we know what's going on. So they're telling you that the length of, or what is the length of the hypotenuse? So C, we don't know. If the legs are 3 and 4, does it matter which one goes where? No, so I'm just going to do 3 and 4. So we want to solve for that C. How are we going to set it up? 3 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. So what is 3 squared? And what is 4 squared? What is 9 plus 16? How do we figure out what just C is? Not C squared? How do you figure that out? Square root, yeah. And the square root of 25 gives you 5. Is that alright? Easy? Okay. So for the next one, they've already given you your triangle. We need to find the missing side. So how are we going to set this up? Same way. So we could say 2.3 squared plus your other side, which is 5.1 squared, equals C squared. So I'm going to let y'all do this one on your own. Is that okay? So try that real quick. Find that missing side. So square them, add them together, then take the square root again. And I think we'll go 1 decimal place because that's what they've done with the other side, so let's do that as well. So what do we end up getting for that missing side? Questions? Great. Moving on. So for the next one, it says the leg of a triangle is 6, the hypotenuse is 10. What's the length of the other leg? So let's draw that. So we've got our little triangle, and then they tell us that one leg is 6, so it doesn't matter which one, just make sure it's not the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is 10, and then we're solving for the other one. Do y'all want to use A or B for what we're solving for? B? Okay. So how are we going to set this up? Equals what? 10 squared. So what is 10 squared? 100. Then what is 6 squared? So we've got 36 plus b squared equals 100. How are we going to get b by itself? Minus 36. So b squared equals what? 100 minus 36. 64. And then what's our last step there? Square root. So what does b equal? Is that alright? Okay, so looking over the next one, same thing again. They've already set it up for you. You're solving for the missing side. Do you want that to be A or B? B? So how are we going to set it up? Is that alright? Can y'all do that one on your own too? Okay. Are we good on this one? Are we done?
Yeah.
What did we get?
12.
12? Did you get 12 point something?
I got it. Yeah, 12.0.
Can we put 12.01? Just because it wasn't exactly 12. So we'll put that. Yeah. Did we all get there? Questions? Okay, good. So the bottom section here, we want to know if this is really a right triangle or not. So, I said earlier that if it is a right triangle, then the Pythagorean Theorem will hold. So that means that we could set it up with the sides that we do have and see if it makes a true statement. So for the first one, it says if a triangle has side lengths of 5.3, 7.8, and 10.4, is it a right triangle? So I'm going to draw a right triangle because we're assuming that it's a right triangle. And we've got 5.3, 7.8, and 10.4. It doesn't tell us which one is which. So how are we going to label this? Exactly right. Your biggest number is always your hypotenuse. Do y'all remember that? Yeah? Okay, so that means that 10.4 is going to go here. And then the other two doesn't really matter, right? So if we want to see if this is a true statement, we'll do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 5.3 squared plus 7.8 squared. And with that equal sign, I'm going to put a question mark because we don't know if those are actually equal or not, right? So I don't want to go ahead and say that it's equal if it's not. And we've got 10.4 on the other side. Is that all right? So at this point, like proving this is not going to be too hard, we can do 10.4 squared in your calculator. And what do you get? 108.16. And then the other side, you can type that straight in as well. So 5.3 squared plus 7.8 squared. What do we get there? So does 88.93 equal 108.16? So is this a right triangle? So since this is not equal, these sides do not form a right triangle, is what we'll say. so the next one over there is the same thing. Do y'all want to try that one on your own? Yeah, we'll get it set up. So, do we need to draw the picture, or are y'all okay without it? What side's going to be our hypotenuse? So what do we get for the left-hand side? 4.8 squared plus 6.5 squared. Did I get 65.29?
Yeah.
Okay. And then for 8.1 squared, what do you get there? Are those two numbers equal? So if they're not equal, what does that mean? Okay. Questions on anything we've talked about so far? Alright, so we'll move along to the other side. So mostly if you have to deal with these, they're going to be word problems. So we've got a couple steps for those. So we're talking about shapes, right? So what's step one always when we have shapes in our word problems? What do we do? Draw it. So once we've got our picture drawn, you've got to decide what sides are which, so identify your sides. And then last thing you'll do is solve for what's missing. So we're going to go ahead and try one. So it says to get from point A to point B, you must avoid walking through a pond. To avoid the pond, you must walk 34 meters south and 41 meters east. To the nearest meter, how many meters would be saved if it were possible to walk through the pond? So we need to draw our picture for this. So we're trying to go from point A to point B. And it says that we go south and then east. So if we go south and then east, I'm going to put point A up here and point B down here. And we've got a pond going on in between. We're walking straight over and straight over. Is that all right? Does that picture make any sense? My pond's kind of ugly. So it said that we would go 34 meters south, so that would be on this side. Do you agree? And then 41 meters east, so that's your other side. He wants to know how many meters would be saved if we could just cut straight through the pond. So this is our C. Does that make sense? Does it just want to know C? What does it want to know? So how much shorter is C than walking the legs, right? So we've got to find both of those things and then subtract to get our final answer there. So let's go ahead and find C, just see how far it is to walk straight through the pond. How would we go about doing that?
34 squared plus 41 squared.
So we can go ahead and do 34 squared plus 41 squared. Add those two together, take the square root. I think you can do that on your own, right? So go ahead and find C real quick. And we'll put one decimal place for right now. And then we will round our final answer at the end. So what do we get for C? Okay. So we got 53.3 for C. So that's how far it is to cut through the pond. How far is it to walk around? How are we going to figure that out? So 34 plus 41 is how much? So all the way around is 75. So how much shorter is it to cut straight through? How are we going to figure that out?
79.
And we get what? So to the nearest meter, what would that be?
22.
Is that all right? Questions on that? Do we 110% understand that question?
Yep.
Because you're going to see it again on your test tomorrow. So we're good? Okay. So we're going to skip this one and move on to the last one because I feel like we're good. I don't feel like we need all that. So it says the foot of a ladder is placed 6 feet from a wall. If the top of the ladder rests 8 feet up on the wall, how long is the ladder? So what do we need to do first? Draw a picture. So we've got a wall in the ground. We've got a ladder that's leaning up against the wall. Does that make sense? Okay. So the foot of a ladder is 6 feet from the wall. So where does that go? The bottom. If the top of the ladder rests 8 feet up on the wall, that's your other leg. We want to know the length of the ladder. So how are we going to set this up? What is 8 squared? And what is 6 squared? What is 64 plus 36? So what's the square root of 100? So the length of the ladder? 10 feet. Yeah, it'd be good to say that. Questions there? So we're all good to go? Yeah? Okay.